David Baye here for MuscularDevelopment.com with the guru George Farah. We are in Pittsburgh wrapping things up from the 2014 IFBB Masters Pro Show, the inaugural show put on by Gary Udit. Now, George, one of the things that's interesting about all these Masters shows, North Americans, Team Universe, and Masters Nationals, is in the past there's been limited Masters shows. So when these guys are earning pro cards, it's kind of like that's the end of your career. You run into a big stop sign. So Gary Udit decided to put together a show here. It's the first year. Numbers weren't that big, but pretty decent quality here. We'll start off right away with the men's over 40 bodybuilding. Again, numbers weren't quite where we wanted to see them, but some good competitors. Brad Davis walking away with the win. Rob Yules was in there for second place. I'm not familiar with the guy in third. We had Sean Allen here. Sean was kind of Sean. Big, not as lean as he needed to be. Huge upper body, legs down a little. What did you think about the way the over 40 played out with Rob getting the nod, Brad getting the nod, obviously for his size, when Rob was clearly sharper with better aesthetics?
Well, the thing is, you can't deny, neither of these guys. You're right. Rob, brought beautiful symmetry. I thought it was like the best he ever looked in a long time. But Brad Davis is just so thick and dense, and not just thick and dense. He still have a beautiful physique too to look at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me and Brad have been friends forever, and I always supported that guy, so I'm not going to change. The guy looks amazing, so you can't take that away from him. And on top of it, I think, me and him were talking earlier, if he comes even, like, sharper, he can do damage at any pro show.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that I actually discussed earlier with Brad, and we've talked about when we were in Chicago earlier this year, is that Brad's one of these guys where he did earn his pro card at a Masters show, but he definitely still has a lot of gas left in the tank, and he can do well. The thing that really shocks everybody about Brad is when you see him in person, he's huge. He's short, but he's huge, and he's as wide as a house, and it's kind of mind-boggling how... Yes, I said bottling on purpose. You got to be a Will Ferrell fan. Anyhow, it's interesting that he makes 212. I mean, he's a huge guy, and you kind of try to figure out how that happened. Now, Rob has an interesting physique, and Rob turns around and he's got shredded glutes, which people don't get, but he still looks like he has this like layer of water on him, on his back.
The lower, he looks good from the top. But, this is also genetic, you know what I'm saying? And if it was a glute contest, yeah, he'll win, but it's not. I mean, the judges, you got to give it to the judges. They're all experienced. We're talking these guys, the best of the best. Those are the guys they judge the Olympia. So we're not talking like an average judge, Right. So they just make the right call. That's how it is. You gotta, give the people that look thick and big the nod sometimes.
Definitely. It's still bodybuilding, and in the prejudging and the play-by-play, I went with Brad for the win, so it wasn't that hard of a call. I think it was a fair call. Moving into the over 50, obviously everybody in the over 50 is a throwback. Really cool to see Rusty Jeffers come out. Big, for a guy who's 50, his physique doesn't look like a 50-year-old guy.
Rusty's amazing, man. This is my boy for years. It's so funny. I want to tell you a little story about Rusty. When I first got to the United States, I was a teenager, and happened that I lived in an apartment in Arizona, in Tucson, because I was going to go to school, and Rusty was the superintendent there. And I used to look at the guy training calves every day. I'm like, man, you look amazing and stuff. And then, years and years later, I ended up helping the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's so funny that we became good friends. Yeah, but he looked good. They all look good, man. These people were like... I mean, like you said, you can't say 40 and 50 anymore because they can place in any show.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting thing. Adina and I had talked about it. I said it would have been interesting to have an overall to see Brad next to Rusty. I mean, guys, Rusty is this good. And again, a lot of times when we see guys get into their late 40s and especially their 50s, you see the body parts not match and the skin doesn't quite look the same. Rusty, like you guys, the last time I saw Rusty in person was the USA's in 2004. He got second to Chris Cook in the Supers. To me, he looked every bit as good as he did there. And for a 50-year-old, he's really big. Moving into the 60-year-old department, Greg Krause. This guy's been weightlifting since he was 11 years old. He's been competing for 30-some years. Got his pro card last year. Definitely cool to see Greg, get his first pro win.
Actually amazing to see these guys. I mean, God bless them. But, between me and you, if I'm 60 and I'm going to compete, please don't let me know. But seriously, you got to take your hat off for these guys, man. I mean, they look good. It's not like they're sloppy and stuff. So you know, hat off to these guys, man. Seriously.
Women's divisions, I know, George, you didn't get a chance to catch a lot of that, so I'm just going to kind of burn through that quick. We had Kim Buck winning the over 35 and the over 45. There was only a few girls in each division. Kim was the clear winner.
She looked amazing. I thought she looked way, way better than Tampa. Yeah. Tampa, she was emaciated, small, and we would be talking me and her. I mean, right here, she was right on the money. Proud of it.
Yeah, Michelle Mine winning the bikini. Now, Michelle's done well in some of the open shows, too, so it wasn't really much of a surprise, Michelle winning the bikini here. Moving on into the women's physique, another woman, Teresita Morales, won the over 35. She's done really well in the open divisions, too, so when you saw Teresita's name, you know, when you saw her name on the list, you had to assume she was probably going to be a favorite.
Yeah, she's going to be the favorite, exactly, because she's winning in open shows.
Yeah, right. And then to round up, figure was the only class to me.
I got to mention, you know, my girl in the physique. I think it was over 40. She's 53 years old. You know, Vicky Nixon. Let me tell you something. I mean, she took second. I disagree, but still, you got to give respect to the judges. They saw different. I thought her physique was just amazing. She looked flawless, and I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, and she should be. Anybody that was here should be proud of the way they look. Figure, to me, was the only class that we saw today. When we looked at the list, we were like, this is up in the air. A girl named Cinderella Richardson. I'm not familiar with her at all. Cinderella Story coming in, winning her first pro show. So, you know, definitely, short in numbers for women's bodybuilding and a little short in the men's. But I should mention the men's physique as well. Men's physique, another situation that we saw in a lot of the divisions. Michael Anderson came in. Michael Anderson's been top 3 in every IFBB Open show he's done this year, so it was no surprise he was going to walk away with the win. But again, it was a good turnout. It's nice to see a venue for the guys who, got their pro card at Masters. As we had mentioned, if you guys didn't see, the qualification for people being here is they had to have earned their pro card at a Masters show. There couldn't be a Tony Freeman or a Dexter Jackson who won it in an Open and just happens to be over 40. You had to have earned it at a Masters show. So hats off to Gary Udit for a great job of promoting it.
Amazing job. I mean, we're looking this weekend. We have over 1,200 competitors. This is just amazing, and the way they're running, it's just everything running smooth. Like you said, I mean, amazing job for Gary and the MPC.
You know, and one of the things that I just want to touch base with Gary is, you know, one of the things that the guys on the boards like to throw around entry fee numbers and how much money these promoters are making and stuff. Gary did this IFBB Masters show just to get these Masters guys a place to compete. And if you guys don't know what Gary did, what he did is he had them pay an entry fee, and there's people who are a little up in arms about pros having to pay an entry fee. The thing you guys got to understand is with the Masters pros, there just isn't the sponsorship money. You can approach every supplement company and every clothing company and say, hey, we're going to throw a Masters show. Do you want to put your advertising dollars toward it? And they're going to turn it down. So Gary goes out on a limb, says, let's still try to give these guys, somewhere to compete. They did have to pay an entry fee. Every entry fee that was paid tonight, the money that these guys paid, turned around and went to the winners. So it's kind of everybody throw their money in the pot. Gary didn't make any money from this Masters Pro show at all. It was just one of these things where he's like, you know, he holds the North Americans, he holds the Masters Nationals, 2 of the big shows where you can earn a pro card. Wanted to do something to give back to the athletes that are showing up at his show every year.
And he did it. Really, like you said, no money in it, you know.
None for Gary, so hats off to him. We hope we can see the show back here next year, a little bit bigger numbers, and I think when the people see how it played out this year and how well all the athletes were treated by Gary, we'll see that back. But for tonight, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for taking your time, stopping by. This is David Baye with George Farah, wrapping it up from the 2014 IFBB Pro Masters Show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.